Man, this administration is sugar honey iced tea back crazy.
Many of those extremists, those MAGA extremists, take their marching orders from Donald Trump, who has no credibility left by any measure. He's only in it for himself. He's now defending himself in civil actions and criminal actions. And when do they break with him? You know, because at some point, you know, maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members. But
you know, a nation doesn't collapse because the buildings fall down. Buildings fall every day, to fire, to flood, to storms, to cracks. Bricks crumble, glass shatters, cities are rebuilt. A nation collapses the moment it forgets what human beings are. It does not begin with tanks in the streets or smoke on the horizon. Before any state commits a cruelty, it must first construct the repugnant dialogue. You cannot drag a mother from her home if the country still sees her as a mother. You cannot shove a father into a van if people still recognize him as a neighbor. So first, you turn them into something else. Not Amina, not Hassan, not the cab driver who took you home at midnight, not the nurse who checked your blood pressure, not the student sitting next to your child in class. You call them garbage. Why garbage? Because garbage is what you don't have to think about. Garbage has no face, no history, no hopes, no children, no dreams, no worth when it's gone. Garbage is what you can throw away and sleep well afterward. This country has one old, grim religion it keeps returning to: the worship of its own innocence and the sacrifice of someone else's humanity. Once, they said the native people were savages. Then they said black people were beasts, property, 3/5 of a human being. They said the Chinese were a yellow peril. The Japanese were an enemy race. Mexicans were rapists and invaders. Muslims were a terrorist threat. And each time, the slur was followed by a system: the Trail of Tears, the Plantation Whip, the Noose, the Exclusion Act, the internment camp, the wall, the drone. Now you hear, Somalis are human garbage. You would be a fool to imagine that sentence has no consequences. Every time this country feels threatened, it searches for someone to turn into a monster. It puts a new mask on the same old fear. And today, the mask has a Somali face. You will hear them explain themselves. Oh, we don't mean all Somalis. We mean the criminals, the bad ones, the ones who don't assimilate, and the ones who has disdain in their heart and follows the my race is superior, falls into a Harlequin romance story with the ones who are saying the rhetoric. If this were truly about bad people, the language would be specific. This man, that crime, these facts. But they never stop there. They don't say, some people committed crimes. They say Somalis. They say these people. They say they're garbage. Garbage is not carefully sorted. Garbage is swept up in one big, dirty gesture and tossed away. That's what the raids are. A big, dirty gesture in a RoboCop uniform. ICE does not appear at your doorstep like a careful clerk checking a name on a list. They arrive like a storm. Whoever is closest gets taken. Whatever is fragile gets broken. And afterward, they stand in the ruins and laugh, trade jokes and brag.
I wouldn't be proud to have the largest Somalian. Look at their nation. Look how bad their nation is. It's not even a nation. It's just people walking around killing each other. The Somalians should be out of here. They've destroyed our country. And all they do is complain, complain, complain. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. We're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. They complain and do nothing but bitch. We don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it. Thank you very much, everybody.
Ask yourself, why Somalis? Why now? Because Somalis stand at the crossroads of every American nightmare that refuses to grow up. They are Black, they are Muslim, they are immigrants, many are refugees. To the terrified imagination of a certain America that makes them the perfect sacrifice. You can load on them the centuries of anti-Blackness, the decades of Islamophobia, the rage against the immigrant, the guilt of foreign wars. You can make them carry everything this country doesn't want to face about itself. So you hear people say, these people don't belong here, as though America is a museum exhibit frozen in 1955, and everyone else is graffiti on the wall. But the truth is, Somali families, by simply existing here, by praying in their language, by braiding their children's hair, by selling sambusas on a street corner, by filling classrooms and workplaces, they testify that America has never been pure, never been singular, never belonged to just one story. That's what's under attack. Not crime, not chaos, but the reality that America has always been a melting pot. They shout safety, they whisper law and order, and they hope you are too frightened to ask. Safety from what? Order for whom? If this were truly about safety, this country would be the hammer to the pedophiles that preys on our kids, not worship and protect them. This country would fear the poisons in its water, the guns in its schools, the drunk driver who thinks they are in a parked car when in reality they are driving 60 miles per hour in a residential neighborhood. If this was truly about law, the lawbreakers in expensive suits, the ones who loot pensions, rip off workers, buy judges, would be dragged out of their glass towers with the same urgency as a Somali father missing a visa stamp. But nobody is calling them garbage. Nobody is scheduling charter flights for the CEOs. If it was truly about safety, the 34-count convicted felon would not have the keys to the White House. So what is being protected? It is not safety. It is not law. It is a fragile, decaying myth of who is allowed to call this country home. It is the fantasy that America is naturally white, naturally Christian, naturally English speaking, and that everyone else is a guest who can be evicted. Trump's words are not an accident. They are an oath to that fantasy. And ICE is the enforcement arm of that fantasy. Garbage does not give birth to children who speak 3 languages. Garbage does not send home remittances that keep relatives alive. Garbage does not start businesses, clean buildings, staff, hospitals, drive you home in snowstorms. Garbage does not sit in science class and dream of being an engineer. Garbage does not kneel on a prayer mat and ask God for mercy on a country that hates it. What you are seeing in Somali communities is not trash. It is courage in a second language. It is dignity under suspicion. It is grace in the teeth of insult. If you can look at that and say garbage, the emptiness is not in them. It is in you. To the ones who says, I'm tired of politics, I just want to live my life. When the devil comes for you, someone you care about, or someone in your family, keep that same energy. The devil in power, who has the biggest microphone that is broadcasted worldwide for millions to hear, is conditioning the uneducated, the ill-informed, to have the same hateful and vile ideals about a particular ethnic group. Where are all the religious leaders? All the group of religious leaders who so-called teach God's word and love their neighbor as they love themselves. Your silence is saying amen to all the bullshit, but let a member miss tithing, you have a lot to say then. Or let the subject of homosexuality come up. You are full of fire and brimstone, what God is not pleased with, but quiet about the adultery going on while grifting members out of thousands for a prosperity prayer. And calling Somalis garbage, this country is throwing away a part of itself it desperately needs. You throw away the memory of your own immigrant grandparents, who spoke broken English and were laughed at. You throw away the belief that this country can be better than its past. You throw away the possibility of learning from a people who have survived famine, war, dictatorship, and still managed to laugh, still managed to love, still managed to hope. The question is not, are Somalis worthy? They do not exist to prove their worth to you. The question is, do we have the courage to be the people we keep pretending to be? We say, all men are created equal. We put those words in stone, in textbooks, in speeches. But when a man says Somalis are garbage, that sentence is a test. Do you believe what you say you believe? Because if you do, then it cannot only apply to people who look like you, pray like you, love like you, vote like you. Courage is not putting a flag on your truck and roaring down a highway. Courage is standing in the way when the state comes for your neighbor. Courage is saying, you will not call my fellow human beings garbage and expect me to be quiet. We know this devil. He has been around since 2015. Each day he gets darker. But what kind of coward hears him and keeps silent and decides to go about their day? We are either going to stand together and resist, hold the line, and stand for justice and accountability, or we are going to watch this country continue to rot from the inside out.
Well, actually, Wolf, I feel very sorry for President Trump. I genuinely do. It has to be a hard place for someone that is constantly so hateful and puts so much vitriol, name-calling, and really tells lies about people in order to try to get his way or win some kind of fight. And I think that's exactly what's wrong in America today. That's what's wrong in this toxic political environment that has ripped our country apart. And I personally think that that's poor leadership from a president. It's a very bad demeanor, and Americans are very tired of it.
Cracks are forming. The fog is starting to lift. If you voted on the wrong side of history, you know what must be done to get back to normalcy and to turn away from this dark chapter. Let your voice be heard this midterm vote to save the Republic, not the MAGA party. You have an opportunity to make it right. Join me for the next chapter and topic on Thesis of the World, the conflicts, the contradictions, the controversy, and the dialogue. So hit like and subscribe to help grow this online platform. The algorithm will respond in kind by pushing the video or videos to like-minded viewers. And if you have a few seconds, please drop a comment. Until we meet again, let the echoes of freedom break through the silence and chaos. Remind them who we are and that we will never surrender, even if we surrender to ourselves for a short period of time.